Hello friends, welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we are going to create housing price prediction model. In this model, we are going to predict the price of a house on the basis of certain features such as its location and its age, how much year old it is, and how many rooms are there, how many balconies are there, and things like that. So first, for that we need a data set. This is the data set that we are going to use. You can download this data set from link in the description. Now, as you can see in this dataset, we have around like 7 columns. First column is location of a house. Second is the size of a house in BHK. Third is the total square feet of a house, that is the area. Fourth is the number of bathrooms. Fifth is number of balcony. Sixth is age, that is how old the house is. And seventh is the price, that refers to what is the price of that house. Price is in lakhs. So we are going to create a house price prediction model using the machine learning approaches and its algorithms. Now, if you are not familiar with machine learning approaches and algorithms, then I suggest you to go to the playlist of our machine learning course, which will help you to get better understanding of all the machine learning approaches and algorithms that we are going to use. Now, so let's get started. First, we are going to import all the required libraries such as NumPy as NP, Matplotlib as PLT, Pandas as PD, and Pickle. Now pickle library can be new for you. Now we are going to use pickle library to save our model in a .pkl format, and then we will be able to use it in a web app. We can even create our own web app using Flask. Now first we are going to import our data set. So we are going to create a data frame named dataset using read CSV function of pandas, and then here we specify our dataset name, that is Bengaluru house data.csv. Now after importing our dataset, you can see in the data frame there are certain NN values in our dataset. So we need to pre-process them before training our model. So dataset.fillNA will fill or replace all the NN values with the specified value, and here in the parenthesis we pass dataset.mean, which is going to return mean values of the data frame, and we pass in place is equal to true, so that it will only return mean value of that specific column. So that means if it's going to replace the NN values of this column here, so it's going to calculate the mean of all the values and go of the specific column, and then it's going to replace this NN value with the mean value, and similarly with this column and in this column. So in this way it's going to replace all the NN values of our data frame. Now as you can see in the data frame, all NN values are replaced with the mean value of the specific column. Now we are going to create our variables, which is our independent variable and our dependent variable. So in the data set, as you can see, the price is our dependent variable. All the variables are our independent variable. So in order to do that, we are going to use the dataset.alloc method, and we are going to create x as an independent variable. So x is equal to dataset.alloc, and we passed colon for all the rows of a dataset, and then after comma we passed colon -1, which means it's going to return all the columns except the last column, and in this way it's going to create an independent variable. So after executing this line of code, you can see that we created our independent variable x, and we are going to create our dependent variable y similarly, in which we are going to use dataset.alloc method, and we are going to pass colon for all the rows and -1 for only the last column. So after executing this line of code, you can see we created our independent variable y, that is the price of a house, that is in lakhs. Now after that, in our independent variable, now by default the area of a house is in square feet, but there are certain values such as square meter, and there are also values such as in range, and there are other different type of units that of area which is used in the data set. So we need to pre-process them, and we are going to pre-process them manually. So in order to do that, fetch all the number of rows in our data set. So length of x is going to return the number of rows in our independent variable x, and that's why we are going to use for loop with I in range of length of x. So it's going to be in range from 0 to the maximum number of row in our independent variable. So after that, we need to pre-process our second column only. So we are going to use x of I comma 2, where I is for the specified row from our for loop and 2 is for the second column. So it's going to return area of each row one by one. So first we are going to check different type of units are if they are in the string or not. So first it's going to check if the minus is in string or not. So it's for the values that are in range such as like 540 to 565. So it's going to check if minus sign or hyphen sign is in string of x of I comma 2. So if it's available, so we need to replace it with a value. So in order to convert this value, what we are going to do is we are going to add 540 plus 565 and then we are going to divide it by 2, so that we are going to calculate a mean value of minimum and maximum value of this range. So how we are going to do is first we are going to create temporary variable L, in which we need to first fetch both the values such as 1200 or 1800. So we are going to do it by using the string format of x of I comma 2, and then we are going to split it by the specified symbol, that is our range. For the range it's specified by space hyphen space. So it's going to split both the values and going to return a list with two element. Just for the understanding, let's say there is its value of 1200 space minus space and 1800. So it's going to convert it into a string first, and then it's going to split it by the space minus space. So it's going to return a list of two values, first value 1200 and second value of 1800. So we get a temporary list with two values, 1200 and 1800. So what are we going to do next is we are going to first convert both the values into float. So float list of 0 and float list of 1, and then we are going to add both of them together, float L of 0 plus float L of 1, and then we are going to divide it by 2, and then we are going to save it at that specified position by using x of I comma 2. So it's going to save the average value or the mean value of range at the same position. So similarly we keep going to repeat this process to process all the different type of units. So first let's say there is a square meter also. Now our data set is in square feet, but there is a unit also in square meter. So first we need to check the conversion of square meter and square feet. So we are going to google it. So square meter to square feet, so it's going to give us a value that 1 square meter is around like 10.7639 square foot. So what we are going to do is we are going to do the same process. We are going to check whether square meter is available in that specified value of that row, that is x of I comma 2. If the square meter is available, what we are going to do is we are going to split the value of that specific string unit square meter. So what it's going to do, it's going to split and return a list with only one value that is before the square meter. Let's just say, suppose let's just for example, what split functions do, let's say we have a string of a b c d and we split it with the value c, so it's going to return a list with two values a b and d. But if we split the value with d, then it's going to return a list with only one value abc. So similarly we are going to use the same concept. We are going to split that string format of x of I comma 2 with a x square meter string. So it's going to split it and return a list of only one value, that will be the value before the square meter. Let's say this is 167 square meter. So first it's going to check if square meter is available in that specific position x of I and 2. So I is all the number of rows, it's going to iterate one by one, and second is the column, so it's going to return this value, and it's going to check if square meter is available in this string format. Yeah, it is. So what it's going to do is going to split this by square meter, so it's going to return a list of only value 167. So now it's going to return a list with 167, so it's going to get stored in L, that is our temporary list. Now after that we are going to convert the value with multiplying it with 10.7639, that is our conversion of 1 square meter to square foot. So for what we are going to do is first we are going to convert L of 0, that is the only and one value in the list, and we are going to convert typecast it into float, and then we are going to multiply it with 10.7639. So it's going to return the square foot conversion or square foot format of the value, and then we are going to store this value at that same specific position of in our independent variable. Now similarly, we will encounter multiple types of units such as per, square yards, acres, cents, gunta, grounds, and others. So what we are going to do is we keep going to Google first the conversion of them, like perch to square feet. So as you can see, one perch is around like 272.25 square feet. So what we are going to do is for perch, first we are going to take the string format of that value and we are going to split it with the perch, and then after splitting the perch we are going to convert this value into float and multiply it by 272.25. So it's going to convert the value into square foot, and then we are going to store it at the specific position. Now we keep going to do the same process until unless we encounter all the possible units that are available in our data frame. Now you may be thinking that how we are going to find out how many data units are available in a data set. So in order to do that, first let's say we have only around like these two condition for the range and normal value, and when we are going to execute this line of code, you can see that it's going to say we can convert the square meter into float. So in order to do that, we are going to write another condition for using elif. Let's say we write a condition for square meter, and let's just say we cut it out here, and let's try to execute this code now. So it's going to tell you that acres is can't be converted now. So in this way we keep going to do the process again and again and again until it doesn't give any error. That means we encountered all the possible data units that are available in the area. After converting all the possible data units into only one square foot, we are going to get our independent variable like this, with all the value of area into a same unit. Now we need to encode our data of location. Now you can see there are different type of locations, and we can train our model on this categorical data. So we need to encode them first into numeric data. So for that we are going to use label encoder and one hot encoder. So in order to achieve that, first we are going to import label encoder and one hot encoder from our sklearn.preprocessing library. Now we are going to create an object of label encoder class using, as you can see, we created an object label encoder underscore x using label encoder class. Now after executing this line of code, so we are going to fit and transform all the values of location and encode them into numeric values using label encoder. So we are going to fit underscore transform function of label encoder. Now we only need to encode the 0th column of our independent variable. So we are going to use x colon for all the rows and comma 0 for only 0th column, and equals to the object that we just created label encoder underscore x, and we are going to use dot fit underscore transform function, and in which we are going to pass the same column, that is x colon comma 0, that is all the rows and 0th column. So after executing this line of code, what it's going to do is it's going to fit and transform all the rows and 0th column of our independent variable, and it's going to return and store at the same position of our independent variable. So after executing this line of code, you can see that in the 0th column all the values are converted into numeric digits, as from 0 to around 1300 something, as you can see here, because there are around like 1300 different locations were in this column in around like 13,000 rows. So we converted the value categorical data into numeric value. So now we need to one hot encode them into specific columns, in which we assign 0 for false and 1 for that specific location as true. So we are going to create an object of one hot encoder using its class. So one hot encoder is equal to one hot encoder and parenthesis, After executing this line of code, we got an object of 1 hot encoder. Now after that, we need to fit and transform the 0th column of our independent variable. So we are going to use the object 1 hot encoder and going to use fit underscore transform function, in which we are going to pass x with colon for all rows and comma in parenthesis index of columns that we need to 1 hot encode, and here it's only 0. So in square bracket we are going to pass only 0, and then we are going to store it into a temporary variable. Let's say it's a. Now after executing this line of code, we get our variable a, shows that the shape of a is around like 13,320 rows and 1305 columns, and this number of columns shows us that 1305 different type of values or categorical data was available in that location column. Now we applied 1 hot encoding. Now what we need to do is we need to concat this with our independent variable x. First, we need to remove one of the column from this temporary variable, that is our array, because in order to avoid the dummy variable trap. If you are not familiar with dummy variable trap, check out the playlist of our machine learning course. Now after that, as we have removed one of the columns from our temporary array, we need to remove the 0th index column from our independent variable, as because we already created an 1 hot encoded format of that column. So we are going to remove it, and then we are going to concat it with the independent variable x. So we are going to use x is equal to x with colon for all rows and one colon for all the columns from first to the last. So it's not going to return the value of 0th column, and then we are going to store it into our independent variable x. So after executing this line of code, you can see that the shape of an a is now 1304, that is one less than the previous, and then now x doesn't have the first 0th column. Now we are going to concate x with the temporary variable a. So we are going to use x is equal to np.concatenate. Concatenate is the function of numpy array which is going to concatenate two different arrays, two or more, and in the function we are going to pass a tuple of all the arrays that we need to concatenate, that is our x and independent variable x and our temporary variable a, and then we are going to assign x is equal to 1, so that it's going to concatenate column wise instead of row wise. How it's going to concatenate column wise is that first it's going to take x, our independent variable, and then it's going to take our temporary variable a, and it's going to concate as column wise, that after fourth the fifth column will be this, the sixth column will be this, seventh column will be this, eighth column will be this. Now if we set x is equal to 0, it's going to concatenate row wise, so we are going to concatenate it column wise. Execute this line of code. So after that, we need to first split the data into training and testing batches. So first we are going to use sklearn.model selection package, and we are going to import train test split function, from which we are going to split our data set into training and testing set. So let's get four new variables: training set of our independent variable, testing set of our independent variable, training set of our dependent variable, and testing set of our dependent variable. And then we are going to pass the value returned by the function train test split, in which we pass first our both variables, our independent variable and our dependent variable, and then we pass test size equal to 0.2. That means 20% of the data will be for testing and 80% of our data will be for training. And then we are going to pass random state equal to 0, so it's not going to pick random values for our training and testing split. Now after that, we are going to create a model using random forest. So we are going to import random forest regressor class from sklearn.ensemble package. After that, we are going to create a variable regressor using random forest regressor class, and then in which we are going to pass n underscore estimators is equal to 280. It defines the number of trees for the forest. Now you can play around with the value. You can change the value from around like 200 to 300. It's going to give the optimal value from 270 to 300. And then we are going to pass random state equal to 0 for not random training, and only go row by row for training of our model. Now after executing this line of code, we are going to create a model named regressor with around 280 decision trees for our forest. Now after that, we are going to fit our regressor model with our training data, that is X-train and Y-train. So after executing this line of code, we are going to fit our model of 280 decision tree with our training date independent variable and our training dependent variable. Now after fitting of our model, we are going to go by making predictions on our independent variable of our testing data, and then we are going to store the prediction into y underscore pred, so that we will be able to compare the values of prediction and the actual value of y underscore test. So after executing this line of code, we will get a new variable y underscore pred that's going to show the prediction for our testing data. So let's make our predictions. As you can see, let's compare our predictions. That is our y pred and that is our y test. Now y test is our actual value for our testing data, and y pred is a prediction or not testing data. So as you can see, the value are quite accurate. As you can see, its actual value was around like 39 lakh. It make a prediction of around like 39 lakh. The actual value was around like 12 crore, and the value make a prediction of around like 12 crore and 10 lakhs, and so on. You can see that our model is making quite great predictions. We created a variable name file name, and we passed the name of our model. That, let's say we are going to create a model with name model, and we need to pass an extension as .pkl, which is going to denote that it is a pickle model. So our file name is equal to model.pickle. Now after that, we are going to create our pickle model, use pickle library, and we are going to use .dump function of our pickle library. Now in our pickle.dump function, we need to pass two variables. First is our model and second is our file reference. So for that, we pass regressor, which is our model. As you can see here, we get a regressor as our random forest model. So after training, we are going to save the model into pickle extension, and then we pass file reference by opening a file name with a wb mode, that is write mode. If the file exists, it's going to wipe all the data of the file and going to rewrite the file, and if file doesn't exist, it's going to create a new file. So we are going to pass the reference of file name in the pickle.dump using this. So after executing this line of code, it's going to create pickle model same at the place where your file exists. Now after that, we created a pickle model into the folder where our file exists. As you can see that this is a file folder where our file exists, and this is the pickle model that our file just saved. So that's it for our today's session. Hope you like it. Enjoy. Keep learning.